Hey guys, so back with another video. I literally prioritized like all my past videos because some stuff had happened and I was just like, nah, I'm done with this. Until the promise that God gave me had came through, and then I was just like, okay, well, yeah, now I have to make this video because I promised him that I would if this thing happened. And it happened. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about how God completely just changed my life within a year or less. Like, my life right now is completely different from how it was last year. And it's too good to not talk about. And it's not, and I don't ever want to come across being like, oh my gosh, yeah, my life is like so good. Like, I don't ever want to come across in that type of way. But it's not by my doing, it's by his. So that's why it's worth talking about, you know? And okay, so I'm going to kind of cut this video in two, if that makes sense. Like, I'm going to talk about how I was kind of living before coming to God and then afterwards, and how he has completely changed my life. So, a little backstory before I go into that. Last year, like I said before, like, my life was completely different. I was still I think I was drinking. I'm not sure 100%. I don't know if I was drinking, or I think I was drinking periodically. Yeah, I was drinking periodically. I know I was smoking. I think I was still smoking weed. I know I was still smoking cigarettes, and I know that I was definitely vaping for sure, like all last year and stuff like that. Um, I was doing other things, and I was involved with people that like I just shouldn't have been involved with, like, at all. Um, More than one person as well. And I still was doing witchcraft, I think. I know people would hear that and be like, oh my gosh, what? And that's just how Satan is blinding. Like, I didn't think what I was doing was witchcraft, but it definitely was. And I made a video about that as well, but I literally privatized all my videos, and I don't know if I'll make them public again. Depends on what God wants me to do, but I know I have to get this video out. Anyways, and if I sound stuffy, I think I'm like low key kind of sick, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, so yeah, like I was saying, I was smoking. I was just doing a whole lot of bad things, and my life was just terrible. I'm gonna be honest. My life was terrible last year. Like, it was not good. Like, without God, my life would still be completely terrible. But like I said, this is why this video is worth listening to, because if he can do this for me, he can absolutely do it for you. And like I said, like, my life was just not worth living last year. But it all needed to happen to lead up to what all he has done for me this year. Okay, so coming to God, I made a video about this as well. I was still smoking weed last year, and I was just smoking in general. And I wanted to give up smoking weed, but I never felt like I could ever give up smoking, like, cigarettes and stuff like that. Like, I always felt like I'd always be smoking cigarettes. Like, I thought that was just a part of me, I didn't think that was ever something that I would be able to be free from. Like, I thought that was normal. And because if you ever smoke cigarettes, or you smoke, like, you know how hard it is to just kind of stop doing that. And but I definitely did want to stop smoking weed. Like, that was something, like, I ended up getting tired of doing. Like, I got tired of obviously wasting money on that, but also, like, doing that 24/7. Because when I was smoking weed last year, that's all that I was doing. All I was doing was getting high, and just repeating a cycle, like eating, getting high, sleeping, waking up, getting high, then eating, and then sleeping again. And at that time, um, I think I was doing, or was supposed to be doing, no, actually, no, I got kicked out of that school. That's a whole nother story, and maybe I could talk about that, but that's a whole nother testimony in itself. Um, But okay, I'm trying to figure out like how to word this. So I was doing all that, and I ended up getting like I ended up getting tired of it, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, like, I ended up getting tired of it. And I was just like, you know what? Like, my only other option is God. Like, that's literally the only other option that I have. And I got to a point to where I was like, you know what? Like, I can't do this on my own. Like, I can't free myself, or I can't change my life. I can't do any of this without him. You know what I'm saying? And I got to that point, and I remember saying a prayer, but I wrote it down instead of actually like saying it. I wrote it down, and so when I did that, I didn't take it serious. If I'm being honest, like I kind of like disregarded it. I was just like, all right, whatever, you know. I didn't believe in it, and I didn't take it serious at all. And it wasn't until that next morning when I went to that person's house that I would usually smoke with, and I started smoking with them. And something that has never happened before started happening. I started getting extremely paranoid. I started getting like extremely like fearful, but also like super anxious, but also like extremely paranoid. And mind you, like I had been smoking for like a while now, and that has never happened. And it wasn't until a couple times after that that I remembered the prayer that I wrote down. And I was like, this can't be. Like, is this really God? Because I didn't tell anybody else about it. It was only me that remembered, you know? And I was just like, whoa, that's crazy. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to believe it, but I believed it because, like, how could I not? You know, because it never happened before. So I, in me being hard headed, I kept trying to smoke afterwards. Like, I kept being like, all right, well, maybe a different outcome's gonna happen. Maybe it's just gonna go away, or maybe it's just like really bad weed that I keep smoking. And it wasn't. Like, every single time after that, I started getting really paranoid. So it got to a point to where I was just like, all right, bro, like I can't keep doing this because this is like a terrible feeling. Every time I smoke, it's just like really bad. Like, it's a really bad feeling. And I remember it got so bad one time I literally had to come home and take a cold shower, like it, to get myself sober because of how bad it felt and how paranoid I felt, you know? So I was just like, nah, never doing this again. Like, that's done. That's done and over with. And after that, after I did that, I was just like, okay, this is absolutely God, because I said this prayer and it had, like, this feeling has never came about until I wrote that prayer down. And so I was just like, all right, yeah, that's God. That's how is that not God, you know? Because before I was still intrigued with God, like I was still kind of like, I would say, oh yeah, like I believe in God, but I never took him serious, you know? Like, I was raised up believing in God. I was raised up Baptist and stuff like that. But I never took him serious. If anything, like I've said or been trying to say in the past video, like I kind of made fun of people that believed in God, if I'm being honest with you. Um but it wasn't until I experienced God firsthand that I was just like, oh, oh, type of thing. And sorry, I'm like getting off track. Anyways, so yeah, I stopped smoking weed, and then I slowly started doing things that would help me get off nicotine and stuff like that. Like, I went on the patch for a little bit. I think that got me off like that. I think that completely like sobered me up, and it wasn't by my doing, because I know for a fact God helped me do that, because I'd been smoking for a while. Then, like, obviously it wasn't like no 3 years I've been smoking cigarettes or nothing. It was probably about a year or maybe a little less, but how consistent that I was, like how often I was smoking, like I know it was God that helped me get off of it and wing me off, like when he did. And because I don't think I had, I'm not going to say 100% I didn't have any, like, withdrawals from it, but from what I can remember, I don't think I had any, like, withdrawals or anything like that. Like, not that I can remember, because I feel like I'd remember that, but I don't think I had any type of withdrawals from it, which was God, obviously. But okay, so when God kind of purged me from those things, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna take God serious, because if he's willing to do this for me, a sinner, if he's willing to do all this for me after I've done what all that I've done, then that must mean he cares. That must mean he has some type of, like, love for me, right? So, um, coming up to December of last year, I was like, all right, you know what? Like, I'm taking God serious. Like, this is, I'm gonna try to do right. Like, I'm gonna try to follow God. I'm gonna try to be better and just surrender to His will, because clearly what I'm doing isn't working. And that's kind of more of like the mindset I had back then. It wasn't like, and I'm not even gonna say that it was like a conscious, like, mindset. I kind of was just like, all right, I'm following God now. Like, I'm giving up the witchcraft. I'm giving up, like, the weed and all this other stuff, and I'm just gonna see where this leads me, because what I was doing is just hasn't been doing anything for me, you know. So, like I was saying, I was more of in that mindset, and in December. And soon after, still in December, God sent me my future husband. And when I say future husband, I'll explain that in this video as well. And God sent me Ashton. And I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. I wasn't, okay, I'm not gonna say I was terrified, but I was, I didn't want to believe that he was the one for me. Like, I was just like, nope, can't be, cannot be, can't be, type of thing. Like, no, type of thing. And until I got confirmation about him later on down the line, then I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, it's him. No, that's him. And God sent me him, and I know that he's from God, and for sure, because of other things that didn't happen, if that makes sense, which I don't think it does, but I could probably explain that in maybe another video. But I already know that this video is already at 12 minutes. Like, I know that this is going to be a really long video, so I'm just going to kind of go through everything that had happened, this year. So God sent me Ashton in December, and I made mistakes in that relationship, but don't we all make mistakes in our relationships and stuff like that? And God was definitely still, like, structuring me as a woman, and still, like, purging me of things. And God sent me him. And then I have my notes right here as well, so if I'm, like, looking off and kind of, like, reading, that's what I'm doing. And okay, so the second thing that God definitely did for me was, after he sent me Ashton, within this year, I'd say within, like, because I graduated in June. So yeah, I had never, backstory on this as well, I had never liked school. School was never for me. School is still not for me. And I always kind of struggled in school. I hated school, but I knew if I didn't graduate high school, that I wasn't going to be able to, like, get past that, if that makes sense. Like, I was never going to be able to, like, overcome that. Like, I couldn't go forward if that block was still in the way. And I always struggled with school. Like, I always hated school. I hated high school. I just hated it. And it was hard to pay attention because I was doing things online. And so I kept praying to God. I was just like, please, God, like, help me to get through this. Help me to graduate. Like, I can't do all these other things if I'm still stuck at this place. You know what I'm saying? And my parents were steady on me, like, okay, Lily, you need to graduate. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. Not in, like, a mean way. They were just trying to stay on me like a good parent should be. Like, you need to graduate so you can move forward in life. And I just felt So, I felt really stuck at that point because I was just like, I barely, like, I'm so far behind. Like, not behind, but like, I wasn't behind in school, but I was definitely not doing like enough at all. Um, like, I was definitely, I was not doing enough at all. And, I will say within that year, because of how much I was slacking on it, God got me through it, and I graduated in June. Yeah, June 8th. I graduated. God got me through it because I kept praying through it and I kept begging God. I was like, "Look, God, please get me through this." And so yeah, he got me through it. He definitely got me through it. And I'm going to say, like, I know you'd probably be like, "Oh, well, how did he get you through it?" I kept praying and I kept being like, "Okay, God, like, I need you to help me graduate. Like, I need you to get me through this." And I'm not gonna lie, yeah, like, I cheated my way through. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of, I mean, I'm not gonna say, like, I'm not gonna tell you to do that. Like, I'm not gonna put that on you, but I'm gonna tell you how it came about because of how behind I really was. And I knew the stuff that I was studying and I knew the stuff that I was doing was not going to benefit me in any type of way. So I kind of just like looked up the answers, did what I had to do to get everything done in a specific amount of time. And that's what I did. Obviously, like I said, I'm not gonna advise you to do that, but I kept praying through it and I kept asking God, like, please, God, like, help me to get through this. And like I said, I'm not trying to advise you to cheat through school. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. I'm just telling you my testimony and what all has happened to me within this year. That's my role. That's what I'm supposed to do. But everybody's situation is different, and I would not be like, "Oh yeah," like, I'm never gonna tell you to go do something that you should not be doing. You know, always take it to God. Always take everything that you're dealing with or struggling with to God. And obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, God wanted me to do that." No, like, God obviously didn't want me to cheat, but I know the place that I was at mentally. I knew that I had to get through it. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely believe that God got me through it because of how much I was praying. And I was just like, "God, if I can just get through this, like, I'll do better, I'll be better." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I graduated on June 8th. And um then after that, not too long afterwards, I ended up quitting a job that was extremely just extremely like draining. And at this point, this was in like um okay, this might be kind of confusing, but I ended up quitting the job before I graduated. Like, the job was in March. And that's a whole nother testimony in itself because I felt God telling me, you need to leave this job, like, you need to quit this job. And I was just like, "But I'm making like really good money here," you know what I'm saying? But I felt drained. Like, I knew I had no purpose there. And that was in March. And once I quit, I was also like falling behind in school because I was working so much. Like, I started falling behind and not doing school at all. So when I quit that job, soon after that, in June, I ended up graduating. Like, you know, God got me through all that. But that couldn't have happened. Like, God couldn't have got me through all that if I wouldn't have been obedient and, you know, quit that job, you know. So yeah, so I ended up quitting that job, and then, you know, I graduated not too long after that because of the time I had, you know, because I wasn't working. And soon after that, I was like, all right, well, now I gotta get my permit. Like, I gotta start driving. I gotta start, you know, doing more because I don't want my parents having to drive me places and stuff like that, especially, like, you know, when I do get another job and stuff like that. And I know you'd probably be like, "Oh my gosh, you're 17 and you didn't have your permit or driver's license." Look, okay, I was not a good kid before. I didn't care about none of that. I just cared about getting high the past like years before this year, okay? But God got me through all that. And I was just like, all right, God, like, I gotta start getting this. Like, I gotta start, driving. I start, what I was really wanting, I didn't care about my permit. I just wanted to get my license, you know what I'm saying? But I had to get my permit first. And I was just like, all right, so I ended up going to like a little driving school and stuff like that, but I quit because I kept failing the test. Like I said, never been good at school, never been good at that type of stuff. But after I quit, I ended up going back. Like, I ended up having to get my permit later on down the line. I ended up going back to that school, which I'll talk about. But before I could go to that school, I had to get my permit. And so I just kept praying. I was like, God, please, like, help me get my permit. Like, help me to do this so I can move forward, so that I can, like, move forward in life and I can start driving and I can be somewhat more independent. And I kept praying and I knew God was going to give it to me, like, I knew he was going to come through. I knew that he was going to do it for me. Because of how much I was praying and how much I was truly, like, seeking him out, and how much, like, my relationship had, like, evolved over like, all that time, you know what I'm saying? And I had went there. I was so nervous. I ended up, because I was praying literally so much, I did not believe that I was going to do it when I got it, because I missed a couple signs when it tells you, like, to, like, name the signs type of thing. And as I remember this, as I was, like, sitting on the computer taking the test, and I had been studying, like, I'd been trying to study a lot, and I felt confident until I got there, until I started failing the sign type of thing. Like, I started failing some of the signs, and literally, as I was doing the test thing, like, as I was taking the test and answering the questions, I remember I started, because you can only miss a certain amount, and, like, my number was getting up there, and I started, like, kind of freaking out. I was just like, all right, God, you promised that I would get this, like you said, like, I'm praying, like, help me, like, just please, help me to get this, like, I'm, like, I need this, God. I was just like, this is gonna help me. And I was even at a point, I was like, I don't know if I can follow you if I don't get this, because, like, this is gonna be such a setback if I don't get it, Lord God. And like, I'm trying to, like, seek you out more, so please come through for me. And I was just honestly seeking him out for the wrong reasons. I was just like, oh, well, if I don't get this, then boom, I'm not following you, type of thing. I was just being bad, But yeah. So as I was taking the test, I literally heard in my head, like an audible voice in my head, because I started freaking out. I was like, okay, my number's getting up there. Like, it was looking like I was about to fail it, basically. Well, I felt like I was. And I remember, as I was slowly starting to, like, freak out in my head, I remember hearing in my head, do you trust me? And I was just like, yeah, I trust you, but I need you to help me to get through this. I need you to, like, do this for me. But I kept hearing, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Do you trust me? I was just like, okay, yeah, I trust you, trying to not freak out. I was just like, okay, yeah, I trust you. I'm trying. I trust you. And I just knew it was God's voice. And then I ended up passing. And I got my permit. I ended up, even when I didn't know, like, specifically the answers, I was kind of like, all right, God, like, which one is it? Which one? Like, which one? And I ended up, by doing that, by trusting God, I ended up passing, and I got my permit. And I ended up passing, and I know people would be like, oh, well, maybe that was just luck. No, boy, it was not luck, because the way I was freaking out, the way that it looked, oh, yeah, no, it looked like I was about to fail, but I didn't, you know what I'm saying? And it's all by God, because I had been seeking him out, and I had been praying, and it says, ask and you shall receive type of thing. And I was like, okay, God, like, help me get through this. Help me get through this. So I got my permit. God got me my permit. I was just like, yes, you know what I'm saying? So after I got my permit, I'm trying to remember what month I got my hold on. Okay, so I got my permit. Yeah, I got my permit in September. Yeah, I got my permit in September. Yeah, and once I did that, I was like, cool, like, I can go to this driving school, I can learn to drive, and then, boom, I could immediately go get my, um, driver's license, which I was, like, begging for. And side note on that, I know I keep being like, oh, side note, but side note, I never believed that I would ever receive my driver's license. I don't know why, but I also didn't see myself living past 16 either. And I don't know why, to be honest with you. I just never, like, I never seen myself living past 16, but I also never, getting my license, I just never thought that was, like, something that I would ever be able to do. But anyways, so I went to that driving school. I went back to that driving school that I had quit before because I kept failing the test, because I felt like God was leading me there too. Like, I felt like God was leading me back there, because the woman was really sweet. Like, she was really kind, and she didn't want me to give up the first time that I actually gave up, but I was just still going through a lot. I was just like, nah, like, oh, my hair, ooh. But, like, I was just going through a lot, and I was just like, nah, like, I quit on that. But I kept feeling like God was leading me back to it, and I was just like, I don't want to go back, God. But he kept putting it on me, so I was just like, all right, whatever. Got signed up for that. I'm thankful my parents paid for that, which was amazing, and I'm so thankful to have parents that love me and care about me. You know what I'm saying? They did that, and it was just driving lessons, and she took the time to do that, and she was telling me that, like, you know, the driving thing for the license, like, it wasn't going to be hard. All you'd have to do was, like, a certain amount of things, and then boom, like, you'd get it. I was just like, all right, cool. So after a while, like, I started doing good. Like, I was doing what she wanted me to do. I was just like, cool, you know, like, this is gonna be a breeze type of thing. So after that, after I finished those, like, 3 days, I think, with driving with her or whatever, I ended up going to test for my license, and I failed. I failed because I got so nervous. And mind you, I forgot to add this. Mind you, I, like, when I was praying, like, I think it was either before or after I got my permit, I had prayed. I was like, God, am I gonna get my license? Like, am I gonna get my license on the first try? Like, is it, like, when am I gonna get my license? And I remember hearing God telling me audibly, like, I remember God telling me that it'd be on the second try. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I remember him telling me it was, like, when I asked, like, am I gonna get it on my first try, I remember him telling me no. And I was just like, oh, well, maybe that's not God's voice. Like, maybe that was either me or Satan or something like that. Maybe that wasn't, like, God's voice or whatever, right? And so I kind of brushed that off. You know, I was just like, whatever type of thing. But I remember as I was praying, I remember praying about it again, and I'd be like, all right, so when would I get it type of thing? And it'd be like, I remember hearing, like, the second time, like, the second try, you get your license. But I kept, you know, being like, all right, so I wouldn't get it on the first time. Like, I kept hearing that. Like, no. Matter of fact, I only heard it once. And I brushed it off. And it wasn't until I failed the first time that I remembered that prayer that I said. Like, I remember hearing God tell me that I failed the first time. And boy, let me tell you, I was so mad. I was like, God, why? Like, I've been doing so good, and I don't think I can follow you. I think I cursed God. I'm not gonna lie. Don't do that. Literally, don't do that. Do not curse God. But then another thing that came out of it had to happen. Like, I had to fail for this thing to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to think. Okay, so what I did, like, I cursed God or whatever, and then I ended up feeling bad because I felt like God was mad at me, and I felt like Satan was attacking me at that time too, being like, you couldn't ever do it to begin with, and I was just like, oh my God, it's just like, I started going through so much spiritual warfare. Like, I feel like I was just going through a whole lot, and so as I was going through that, I was like, to make it up to you, God, I will literally go out. I'll pray for people. I'll, which I had been doing before because God had been like telling me to go out and do that to help me to get over the fear of like speaking in public and speaking to people. He, assigned me to go out and pray for specific people and like literally talk to them and pray for them, which, boy, let me tell you, is not easy to do. It is not easy to do, but I felt like I knew. I'm not gonna say I felt like because that no, but I know God was leading me to go do that because of how often that was on my heart, and I knew that wasn't something that I wanted to do, and I obviously confirmed it. Like, I knew it was from God. I'm not trying to make this video too long and go into how I knew that was from him, but I just knew that was from him. So because I had cursed God, I was like, God, I'll make it up to you. I'm sorry. I ended up feeling bad, and I was just like, all right, whatever. I prayed for those people because I felt like to show God, like, I'm not leaving you. Like, I'm not trying to do this just to gain something from you. So I went out and prayed for those people, which was good. They were really sweet. And then, which I felt like is a whole testimony in itself. But then I went back and I was just like, look, if I don't get it on the second try, I told God, I was like, I'm not going to leave you and I'm not going to curse you like I did the first time. But I'm just probably most likely not going to go back. Like, I'm not going to retest for it. If I don't get my license on this second try, then I'm done. Like, I'm not going back. I'm not going to like, I'm just not going to retest for it. I'm done trying. And which is something I gotta work on because I'm so easy giving up on things. I feel like I'm getting so distracted. Anyways, I went the second time and I got my license. I was so nervous. I ended up getting my license, and it was so much easier, and I definitely felt like that was God. Like, I felt like God was like, see, like, you just have to trust my word, trust what I'm telling you, type of thing. I was just like, okay, God, like, okay. And I did get my license. I was so excited because, like, that was something, like I said before, that was something that I felt like I would never be able to have. I don't know why, but that was just something that I never felt like I would actually I'd never be able to have, And then I was like, all right, yeah, God literally told me the second time I would get my license. He told me I would get my license on the second time, and I did. And then a month after I got my license, which would be this month, because I got my license last month. So this month in December, I got proposed to. I'm literally engaged. Boy, let me tell you, I'm literally engaged right now. I would show the ring, but I'm not trying to be like, oh, like, look at me type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I literally got engaged. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it's crazy. My life is completely different, bro. Like, this isn't even it. Like, I got engaged, which was a complete shock to me. And another thing is, side note, I had been asking God. I was like, God, I just want my life to change. Like, I don't want to be in this situation no more. Just, like, help me, like, help me to get out of this situation. Okay, so, yeah, I got engaged, bro, by Ashton. Like, the guy that God literally sent me, which is a whole another testimony in itself, like I said. But literally, I got engaged. It was a complete shock to me. Like, I felt like it was just a complete shock to me. I'm still in shock. Like, I feel like I'm still in shock. Like, bro, it's so crazy. I literally feel like I'm still in shock right now. But yeah, I got engaged, and that's been great. That's really cool. I thank God for that. Like, it was, I know I keep saying, like, oh my God, I was so shocked, but I literally was. I was literally completely, completely shocked. And then, but before I got engaged, I kept praying. I was just like, God, like, I really need a job. Like, I really need to start working again so that I can, save up for things and have money and put, and obviously, like, not rely on my parents as much, you know what I'm saying? But they've been helping me out. My parents, I'm blessed to have my parents. Like, my parents have been a big help for me, you know. But off that, like, I was just praying to God for like a long time. Like, God, please get me a job. Like, please, like, wherever it will be, like, I don't care. Like, just please help me get a job type of thing. And this is another testimony in itself, because God, like, I kept praying about, my mom had mentioned this specific job, and I'd been praying about it, and I feel like God's telling me, like, don't go too deep into it, but I'm just gonna say, like, I ended up getting the job right after I got engaged. Right after, like, I kept praying for it. I kept asking God. I was just like, God, please, like, now that I'm engaged, like, I really got to start saving up. Like, I really got to start, like, saving up money to put towards that and stuff like that. And baby, let me tell you, I literally, I got the job. Like, I got the job immediately after I got engaged. Like, I got the job within the week after. Like, literally within the week after of getting engaged, I got that job that I had been asking and begging God for. I mean, I was asking God for another job before this prior job, but I feel like God is leading me to this specific job that I got. But before anything else, I was just begging God. I was like, please, God, like, get me this job. Like, I need a job to start saving up and all this stuff. And literally right after I got engaged, boom, I got this job. And it's not, and I don't ever want to make it seem like, oh, I got this job. No, God absolutely 100% got me this job, specifically with the timing that he gave it to me, which is a whole nother testimony that I feel like he doesn't want me to go into right now. But like, the timing matched up to, when I got engaged and just like all of this stuff. But that's a whole nother story on how I know that job's from God and how he gave it to me. But let me just tell you, all this stuff happened within a year, bro. All this stuff happened within a year of me taking God seriously. And I'm not trying to push this on you. I, by no means, am trying to be like, oh, this is why you need to follow God, because he'll give you whatever you want. It's not that, bro. Like, because I've made that mistake. I've made the mistake of only following God for what he can give me. But bro, let me tell you, God is so much more than what he can hand to you. He has feelings, he has emotions. He feels happy, he feels sad. Like, once you truly get to know him for yourself, you'll realize that. And by no means am I just misrighteous over here. Like, I've made thousands of mistakes, and I'm probably more of a sinner than you are. But I'm just saying, like, I do love God, and I try my best, to be obedient to him. Am I perfect? Absolutely not, but I love God, and this is why this testimony, I feel like, had to come out, because he has completely changed my life within a year, bro. Within a year. And my life my life now looks completely different from where it was a year ago. Like, he's completely changed my life, and he has answered my prayers, like, and he hears you. Like, let me tell you, God hears you. And like this video, I'm just trying to be obedient and get this word out, because I feel like God is wanting me to get this video out. But bro, keep trusting God. If you if you feel like giving up, if you feel like, you know, oh, well, this isn't working, I'm going through a lot, like, this hurts, believe me, I know it hurts. I know I've been through that wilderness season. I know it's not easy and I know it hurts, but bro, keep pushing, keep going forward, and don't give up, bro. Because it's always, God is always going to give you better, and God is always going to do better for you than what you've ever could have thought of or what you like could imagine. Like, yeah, like I could have imagined, like, you know, maybe getting my permit or like something good happening this year. Bro, I did not expect all of this in 1 year. In 1 year, dude. And it's not even technically a whole year. Like, like, you know, next year will completely make a whole year. But bro, like, it's just crazy. Like, I met Ashton early, you know, December, so that makes a year. But everything else, like, that he's done for me is completely less than a year. And it's just mind blowing, bro, how God can completely take you from this, take you from just a terrible place, from a terrible situation and a mess that we've caused in our lives, and completely just flip your entire situation in a time that you couldn't even expect, that you could not even do yourself. And you know, I know people, there's always going to be that person that's like, oh, well, maybe, you know, this happened or that happened because of this. Nah, bro, I couldn't have done any of that by myself. Obviously, because I was a stoner a whole year ago and could barely do anything for myself, or not smoke weed, or not get up off the couch and, you know, do this or that. Bro, let me tell you, every single thing that happened within this year, good and bad, is all for the glory of God. Let me just be honest with you. Like, bro, I don't care what nobody thinks. Like, I know 100%, like, this testimony has to get out because somebody needs to know. Like, God can take you from where you are right now and completely flip your entire situation. And I'm about to end this video because this is 42 minutes, but, I just want to say, keep having faith. Don't give up. Like, I know it gets hard, and I know I've been all loud and stuff in this video, but I'm just saying, like, bro, keep trusting. It does get better, and, again, like, hold on to your faith. Like, it does get hard, and following God is not easy, but I promise you, 110,000%, like, it is completely worth it. And, I don't know if I'm going to repost the other videos or just leave this one up, but I know I'm gonna get this video out. And again, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I pray this word bless you, and I pray that this video makes you want to go to God, to seek God out, not for what he can give you, but for who he is and what he wants to do for your life, and makes you want to surrender to his will for your life, because his will for your life is so much more good for you than you could ever want for yourself, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, again, just thank you for watching. I feel like I'm stalling right now, but thank you for watching, and until next time, bye.